Good morning, class. My name is Andres Ochoa, and today we're working with Brett Bowman, Stephanie Calderon, and our topic is hegemonic masculinity. So for those of you wondering what hegemonic masculinity is, here I have a definition for y'all. According to Ray and Cornell's concept of hegemonic masculinity, this concept is defined as a set of values established by men in power that functions to include and exclude and to organize society in gender unequal ways. There are three identified levels of this: local, regional, and global. In a more simple manner, it is an ideology and lifestyle which enforces patriarchy in a male-dominated society. Typical characteristics associated with hegemonic masculinity are aggressiveness, competitiveness, and independence. Some of you may be wondering some examples of this. I have a few right here. The first one is a video my partner graciously provided for us. She's the man, and in this scene, the main character is seeking to play on the men's soccer team.
I'm not serious. All right. You're all excellent players, but girls aren't as fast as boys.
What?
Or strong, or as athletic. Hey, this is not me talking. It's a scientific fact. Girls can't beat boys.
Pop culture, exposing the idea of sexism, and again, it goes back to the three concepts of global, regional, and local. The idea that even in something as small as a high school, all the way up until Hollywood, hegemonic masculinity exists. I should explain things better, and I'll pass the presentation to my fellow team member who will explain more. Thank you guys so much.
There are numerous negative effects of hegemonic masculinity on our society, beginning with the effects on men themselves. At a very young age, boys are taught to be courageous, strong, and to participate in sports such as football that promote their manhood. Emotions are rarely tolerated because they are perceived as a sign of weakness. This, in turn, causes boys to suppress their feelings during very emotional years of their lives. As a result of suppressing their emotions, boys increase their chances of developing mental illnesses and addictions as they age. According to reports, men who exhibit hegemonic masculinity are more likely to be affected by mental health and general well-being. But because men are expected to demonstrate power and strength, they avoid seeking medical care for fear of appearing weak. As a result, they self-medicate with substances such as drugs and alcohol, which leads to higher mortality rates. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention reported that in 2018, men died by suicide 3.56 times more often than women. The abuse doesn't stop there. Because this kind of microaggression reinforces patriarchal norms, women and gay men become victims of it. According to this belief, women are expected to be submissive while men demonstrate dominance and control over them. In some cases, this abuse or control can come from their own fathers and brothers. Jason Kratz, an anti-sexist activist and expert on violence, media, and masculinities, has argued that this same control can be demonstrated in the recent overturning of Roe v. Wade. The belief of control and dominance that heterosexual men should have over women and other non-binary groups. So how can we combat hegemonic masculinity that is so established in our society? My team member, Brent, will now discuss some solutions.
Although hegemonic masculinity has become very prevalent in today's society, there's still some solutions to reduce its presence and thus create new norms. First thing we can do is to identify hegemony and where it takes place. To see hegemony at work, one needs to be critical of taken for granted cultural norms, to what media scholar Stuart Hall identified as an oppositional or counter-hegemonic reading of cultural texts. This has become so prevalent in our society and can be seen in countless popular movies, and by identifying and understanding this, we can begin to make changes. Another thing we can do is refrain from stereotyping. Stereotypes of ethnicities that are negative contribute to and reinforce hegemonic white masculinity. Another thing we can do is exercise more characteristics of subordinate masculinity. Men must be vulnerable and allow themselves to express emotions opposite of that of hegemonic masculinity. This will in turn create the notion that it is not necessary for a man to express hegemonic masculine traits. Hopefully this will in turn influence other men to do so and create a new normal. Finally, we can introduce the negative impacts of hegemonic masculinity. Masculinity is an important health determinant, as individuals who identify as masculine are more likely to adopt risk behaviors that are less likely to promote good health and longevity. This could influence men to change their ways due to negative health effects that they could potentially endure. In conclusion, hegemonic masculinity has had a big impact on today's society and can be largely associated with the current norms. Uh, this has been very detrimental to our society by contributing to things such as violence towards women and gender inequality. The best way to deal with this is to understand where this takes place in our society and allow new ideals to come to life. And although this has shaped the last few decades and contributed to the misfortune for many of those in our society, there's still time and ways to fix this problem and thus create new norms. And finally, this is our works cited page. Thank you.